tremendous errors and problems when you go back to the original language, but there's a verse here I want to look at. So, when you look at this passage, you talk about resurrection. It doesn't mean the body to be raised up out of the grave. When it talks about being raised, it's actually the word to be awakened. And resurrection actually just simply means to stand up from sleep. That's all it means. It doesn't have anything to do with a body that's laying in a tomb and has rotted where there's nothing there but bones, and God's going to raise it up and cover it with sinew and bone and flesh over the bones and make it go on. That's what they told us. Most of us believe that that's not what it means. That's not even what it said. But it talks about waking up. The waking up is where we have surrendered as a divine being to the physical. And so what we're doing as we wake up, we are releasing our physical control, authority, to our divine, our inner essence. That's what that refers to. That's what it always talks about. So, a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people take Genesis 2, where God caused a great sleep to fall upon Adam. There's nowhere that Adam ever woke up. I've heard people talk about that and refer to it in that fashion. I don't necessarily embrace that idea, but nevertheless, it's still there if you want to think of it that way. But here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 49, I want to show you some things that this said, and I'm going to kind of translate it to its original meaning, or what it says as we read through it. Verse 49, it says, "And as we have, or we do, born, or as we have born." Actually, the word here is phoreo, and actually the word means to wear. It's a term that simply means to wear clothes. In other words, every one of us here today are phoreo. That means that we have on clothing. We wear clothes. But watch what he says. As we wear the image of the earthly. Now the word image is what we're working on here. And that's what we've been talking about, because the image of God, and let me go ahead and do this. The image of God that's talked about in Genesis 1:26 is the astrological wheel, or we call it the zodiac. And so that is the image of God. And when we can see that, when we talk about God, if we would do this, if we would make it a habit or practice, that when you say the word God, look at the whole thing, look at the whole picture, look at the whole astrological wheel. So when you say God, don't look at an old gray-headed man, don't image that, because if you image that, you'll think that. If you image in your mind an old gray-headed man with a beard, then you'll think an old gray-headed man with a beard. So then you'll begin to try to manipulate the old gray-headed man. You'll manipulate it with how you feel. Oh God, please help me. And oh God, please help me. He's not really moved by how bad you feel or how good you feel. I'm sorry to tell you that, because this is the old gray-headed man. The whole astrological wheel, the 12 powers of God make up the whole of it in its revelation of this glib. And if I reduced it to saying this is all God is, then I reduce God to all the rest of the whole universe. And all the rest of the whole universe is God. So you understand, we have terminology problems where we lock ourselves in. And we lock the essence out. We lock the power out. So I want to, say a lot of different things so that we can use the all in all. That's why I can divide this wheel into 4 sections. I can divide it into 3 sections. I can divide it into a 7 section with 5. You hear what I'm saying? Every way I go at it, I'm still looking at the 12 astrological signs. And when I look at you, you are the visible manifestation of that, even though you don't realize that you are. And it's like we talked about earlier this morning, we closed, when Adam began to name the things, he was calling those things independently from himself. When he named an animal, he's saying, I'm not that. But we didn't know that. You see, we thought that he was raising himself higher in the succession of creation. It had nothing to do with that. It just had to do with This is created for this purpose, and this is created for this purpose. So when we begin to see, this is the image. This is the imago. This is the teslim. This is the image of God. God created man as its image. Well, what is its image? That's it right there. The astrological wheel. So every time you see that, this is also called the hosts. And I know you have heard of that. Usually they use the term host in a negative fashion as the host of the demonic force. That's how that's how writers will use it. And they're really referring to what we've talked about a little bit about a fallen group. There is no fallen group. The only thing, and I do mean, let me repeat that, the only thing, did you get that? The only thing that failed was God itself. And by that term, fall doesn't mean to stumble and make a mistake, but to come into something. And that's what happened. God, the source, the image, the all came in to us as itself. So that it could, through us, experience the creation that is. And now, is that true in other spheres and other universes? Of course it is. It's a principle. But yet, do they appear to be like us in other spheres and other? No, of course they don't. You see, the soul is a design by Spirit to be a carrier of dimensions, so it can carry any dimension that it wants to. There are some, obviously there are probably creations that have a 12-dimensional reality. On this particular sphere right now, all we know is a 3-dimensional reality. And so we're moving into places in our divineness where we can contact a 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, 7-dimensional. And in my opinion, when we contact in this sphere, when we have moved into our 7-dimensional reality of who we are, we have become the total fullness of the manifest Adam man, Madam woman. We have become that we have been designed to be. We ain't become it yet. So Adam really hadn't shown up yet. Not the way he's designed to. But I think we're coming to a place where boom, 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 boom. I think we'll come to where we're a domino effect. And all of a sudden we ain't got to wait hundreds of years to be what we are. It just will begin to happen. And you see that. It's like when you look at these children coming in here today, I'm telling you, they're coming in here a whole lot more powerful than I did. And they're coming in quick, quick, quick. When they can sit, like we were talking about, like Andy was saying, you sit down and you watch a 4-year-old play Beethoven or Bach, and you look at them little fingers, and how do they reach the chords? That's phenomenal. I mean, I've seen little boys on the internet get up and play the guitar, get into some soul music. I mean, at 7 and 8, and you would think he was a 50-year-old seasoned guitar player. And he ain't, he's 7-year-old. So you see, I'm saying we are at a time, hallelujah, we've already moved into the golden age. We're just now beginning to wake up to the golden age. And I tell you, it's going to unfold us as the image of that we've been created to be.
Yes. Yes.
So to me, it's a great time to be excited about the things that are coming forth for us. It's not a time, you know, when I share things or I say things about my family or things that have happened to me. I'm not saying it to get your sympathy. I mean, I don't really want that. I'm just saying that, look, this is what the source has done for me or has done in me. I'm not being judgmental or critical of anything that's happened throughout my life. I'm very thankful that the good and the bad, because there is no good and bad. It was all an experience, and how I begin to assimilate that it ministers to me. And I can let it pull me down. I can let it be a noose around my neck. I can say, well, I'm just doing this or that. Or I can go ahead and say, yes, this did happen, and it was what it was, but hey, this is a brand new day. I'm not going to live there. I do have the memory of it. But I'd be doggone if I'm going to pull that memory out of the memory bank and begin to build my life on it, y'all.
That's right.
And it would be good for all of us to not do that. I'm not trying to tell you forget your memories. Dear God, you can't. Because they are what they are. It happened the way it happened. It was what it was. But dear Lord, don't stifle your life because of things that happen. Build on it. Release them. If you have people that hurt you or disappointed you or let you down, let them go. You ain't got a clue what they were going through. Let them deal with what they have to deal with, because I promise you, you are not anybody's savior. And you ain't going to get anybody saved, even though that used to be my thrust of my life. I was supposed to be a minister of the gospel, and I got to go out into the highways and the hedges and bless God. I got to get them saved. I realized that didn't work. I asked them to come to my altar, just as you are. Kneel at my cross, because I'm trying to show Jesus Christ. And so anyhow, this passage of Scripture is a phenomenal passage of Scripture when we begin to see it in its true meaning. So as I have put on or wear the image of an earthly, and I do, the Scripture says we shall also, actually in the original Greek it says, let us also wear the image of the heavenly. In other words, it's saying, look, I have worn this earthly clothing and garment like I would a suit or a coat or a pair of pants. It's time for me now that I can wear my divine spiritual essence as the garment of who I really am. So as God has clothed me in the physical, God has also clothed me in the divine and in the spiritual. So you can go with me back over to Genesis chapter 1, if you would like. We'll go over there and look at this. Genesis chapter 1. And when I'm talking about the image, I'm talking about the image and many of the aspects in which that image is. I will break it up into the three aspects that I would like to talk about. This would be the aspect of light. And this would be the aspect of life. And this would be the aspect of love. Light, life, and love. That's what this is. Light, life, and love. And I want to build on that three. Even though there are 12 here, even though there are 10 here, these are different functions, different characteristics showing different things, different parts of the body, different organs doing different things. So your body is made up of all of these. But all of these different three divisions that I'm talking about here, right now, is light, life, and love. And yet that's just one. So is God one or is God many? Yes. And I don't mean that to be confusing. But yet we get so, they tried to get us stuck in this whole ideology that the Hebrews had only a one God concept and idea. That's a complete outright lie, even when you look at the word God. Because when you look at the word God, it's plural. Elohim just actually means many gods. Because it's referring to the image of the 12 astrological wheels as the power or the energy of God. So is God one and many? Absolutely. And that's confusing. And actually, when you go down to Egypt, they had exactly the same concept and idea. And yet Christianity tried to tell us, because the Egyptians enslaved the Hebrew people, which there's never a record of that ever happening. Never. There was never a record of a slave species of people for 400 years build pyramids. The pyramids go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We don't even know how, we ain't got a clue how long they've been there. There's some engineers, like for instance Christopher Dunn wrote a book about the pyramids, and according to his calculations and the way they align with the dimensions of the sun and the whole great year. The great year rotates on approximately 26,000 years. So it takes 2 great years. 2 great years would be 56,000 years. And according to Christopher Dunn, the alignment of the Sphinx and the pyramids show perfectly 2 great year successions. That would be 52,000 years since they were perfectly aligned with the sun. So then you have to say, then when they were built perfectly aligned with the sun. They didn't build them 2 degrees off, 2 great years, 52,000 years. They built them in perfect alignment. And so every time we go through 26,000 years, then it will move a degree. Just exactly like when you and me go through 2,000 years or 2,160 years, which is an age, according to scriptural time. Every time we move through that, we move into another dimension. We move out of Pisces, it's dead and gone, it's over with. Prop it up all you want to. We are right now in Aquarius. We're in the time of the water bear. We're in the time where the river's being poured out. What is that river? Let the knowledge of God cover the earth like the waters of the sea. It's pouring forth through who? Of any vessel who would yield itself. Anyone who would yield itself to it. Stuff flows through me. It ain't me. You know, yeah, I read a lot. I do. I admit that. I don't read as a lot as some other people. But when I get on the internet and I hear people like I was telling you about this little Cullen guy, this guy on there, 30-something, 40-something year old, and I listen to this guy. He blows my mind. How can anybody that young have done that much? It's not him. It's the energy that's flowing through us because we're in the time. We're in the age. It's happening all of it. It's coming through that door right there called Da'at. That's the window it flows through. D-A-A-T, Da'at in Hebrew. So you won't find that in a lot of Kabbalistic material, but you will find it in some that understands the code. So, and when they put that and they know that that's there, that's a divine knowledge that's flowing through us today. And so that I want to live there, folks. I want to be in that spot. I want to open myself up so that I'm like a channel that the river can flow through me, and it not only washing and cleansing me, anybody want to come and drink this water.
Amen.
And I would say to transform your life, I would say it will help you, it will change you. I would say it will get rid of a lot of the things that have bound you because of unforgiveness or because of hurts and pains, and we can't let things go. It's time to turn it loose. It's time to live and time to enjoy the very things that we call life.
Can I say something?
Yes, please do.
What we were talking about last night about those 3 months that we're lacking, you start from a foundation up. This Aquarius is the time for us to come into the top. That's that 3 months that we're lacking. The knowledge of that we're the love, light, and life. There it is. We're gonna be it's gonna be revealed all that we want to know about those 3 lacking months in that full cycle.
That's
time
good.
that's coming to be revealed.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So
That's coming up into the head. Remember, Paul said, "Don't be content to be a knuckle or knee, an elbow in the body of Christ. You grow up into the head."
wow, that's very good right there. Yes, that's very good because this is the head.
Yes.
Light, life, and love. That is the head. That's the Trinity. That's it right there. That's the divine essence. That's the power. When you take that over to the entire wheel, you see it again. Light, life, and love. And when you focalize it, just like Annie is sharing right there, and I begin to put it into mine, light, life, and love. I am going to master those.
Yes.
I will incorporate that in my whole being. Yes.
And in the Old Testament, God says He will teach us all.
Yeah. And so we have a divine teacher right now.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me, we get off into all kinds of worms here. I guess that's okay. You understand, and I'm going to have to talk about this. My dad, now watch this. My dad, on May the 21st, or within a few days before or after that period of time, I'd have to count back the days to get pretty close to the exact date, from February the 19th. And you put your own dates in here. You know where you are in these charts. This is not an accurate, like perfect calculation, but you can count all of these on the 21st astrologically, some charts will follow or move some of them back to the 19th or 20th. But as a general rule, you can count them all on the 21st. You can just go ahead and say that this is March the 21st, April 21st, May the 21st, June 21st, July 21st, September, let's see, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and January, and February. And so you can look at your chart just by calculating that and count your days, because it's going to be approximately 30 days between each one of these, 30 and point something between each one of those. So you'll know exactly where you fall in there. And you can calculate your chart. So this is the day I was born, this is the day I was conceived. This is the day that gestation began to take place in the womb of my mama, and my mama began to build me as the temple of the living God. And I want to show you what happened. I had some notes here. I don't know for sure where I put them. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, but this is what happened on May the 21st, or approximately there at. Now if you've ever gone on the internet, you know what that is. That's a seed, or that's the word. The word is Logos. This is the Logos. This is the word. This is the seed. The word said, the emanation of the divine, the word, the said, emanation of the divine. It tells you very clearly in Peter that the sperma is the word, and the word is the sperma. Sperma is the Greek word for the English word sperm. The sperm is the male seed, right?
Yes.
So this is the word. That's what that is. That's a male seed. Every time a man ejaculates, he will release somewhere between 250 and 300 million of these. But he only needs one. Now, do you see how God covered himself? He ain't gonna miss. He ain't gonna miss. There's no miss about that. 250 million to 300 million words are going forth, and they're only looking for one thing. They're looking for this bingo, this target. And in this target, of course, this is just like this. But I want you to see this. This is a medical fact. Within this sperm or this seed, there are these little quarks inside this cell. These little quarks, and these are called accrucial protein. So I'm just going to put AP. They're called accrucial proteins inside this. This is what makes this seed. There are called, these little things inside here, these are called cortical granules. Cortical granules. I'm going to call them CGs. And there's also called inside this a mitochondria. I'm just going to put an M there, which is a basic water base. And if you'll notice, and you can look this up in any medical dictionary, look it up on the internet to see what is the ingredients that make up the seed of a man, and it's 1, 2, 3. That ain't an accident. Now I could reduce that down to spiritual language, and I could say that's light, life, and love.
Yeah.
Because it is. Now here's the phenomenon about that. When I look over here at this little egg that's sitting waiting on this thing to get over there, I gave you something wrong here. I was looking at the egg and giving you the things for a seed. This is called a crucible protein, and this right here is called a nucleus. and it looks like this. It looks just exactly like that. It's called a nucleus, DNA. Comes directly from my father. And then when I come over here and I look at this egg has this in it, and it is called the same thing. It's called a nucleus, DNA, and it comes from your mama. And then your mama also has these little things in here, and these are called cortical granules, CG. These are called cortical granules. And then it has this other thing in it too, and this is called mitochondria. And I'll call it M. Now I want you to notice that the only difference in the egg, and it has 3 ingredients that make up the egg. The mitochondria are considered a water base. That's the material manifest world. When you look at the material manifest world, what causes life on the material manifest world is water. Water is the source of everything living on this planet. You can put sun all you want to here and take away the water and ain't nothing going to live. And the same thing's true about you. You and me, you'll find out if you keep yourself hydrated, you'll be healthier. Drinking the right fluids. If your hydration is filled with Cokes, diet this and diet that and all kinds of the other, anything in the world they offer you today to drink except water. And they offer you, I mean they offer it to us, I mean the whole plethora of it. But you know, if you will make it a point to drink your amount of water every day and you drink other things, that's fine. You're going to stay hydrated, you're going to stay healthier. And you also are going to stay pretty much in a weight range that would be good for you. That will if you get your water. If you, like for instance, I have to have 90 ounces of water, 95 ounces of water every day. For me, that's not hard in the summer. I can do that because I'm active and I ingest a lot of water because I sweat a lot, or so I do it. But in the wintertime, when I'm lazy, I'm not hardly as active. I have to really work to get my water consumption. But now this is what makes you. These two coming together, when this critter moves in here, guess what happens? This DNA joins with this DNA, and now you have a double-strand DNA, one from your mom and one from your dad. When this mitochondria and this mitochondria come together and they begin to mix, now then you have that water fluid base that's inside the womb. And then you have this feminine and you have this masculine aspect of yourself that have joined together to create you. And I don't care who you are, man, woman, I don't care which one you are. You have both the male and the female aspects on both sides of your family that make you. Now then, you are God's image. Hallelujah.
Amen.
That is just a phenomenal thing that happens to every one of us.
Amazing.
It is amazing. It really is. And when I seen this, I was looking and I was digging in these threes, and all of a sudden it hit me. Wow, there's 3 aspects to the seed. I wonder if that's true of that egg. And I'll be doggone. That hunch followed right through. There's exactly 3 ingredients that create an egg.
Yeah.
So when you put them together and they mingle together, you have 3 ingredients because they join and they make you.
There's another level of that too, that we know that our mom and daddy made us the temple. Well, my mom and my daddy were also temples. It was temples making temples. It wasn't a man and a woman making. It was a God in 2 temples producing God in a 3rd temple.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Yes. Amen.
Good stuff.
Okay. So Genesis 1:26, God said, let us make man. I'm going to do a teaching, and I'm not going to do it this weekend, obviously, but I've been working on a teaching where I'm going to do bara, create, made, asa, and then the other one, yasara, formed. God created, God made, and God formed. And you're the results. And there again, we have the 3. And so I have a teaching that I'm working on that I will plan to do sometime in the future that you'll be hearing a whole lot more about. And again, I'm excited about that because I'm just digging out some stuff on that just really is exciting me about that. Those 3 words. And I'm still in Genesis 1, 2, and 3, y'all. Marvin called me, he said, hey Lynn, I thought you was gonna get out of the gym as one. I said, I can't do it, I'm addicted, I'm stuck. I keep getting stuff out of it, it's just brand new. I can squeeze one verse and it's like Kirby says, you come and you get one thing on one layer, somebody comes and gets another thing on layer. And I guess it is, it just gets deeper and deeper, layer and layer and layer on top of layer. So, as we have this image, that we have this, all of this right here making up you. My father planted the seed on May the 24th. That my mother began the gestation period. In other words, the construction. And so what they did is they put together materials. There's a whole lot more in here, in these three ingredients, than you really know or you really see. There's millions and millions of concepts and ideas that are there in these little, I mean, you can't see these things, even through these high-powered microscopes you got to look. There's so much information in these that when these two come together in the womb, in that gestation place, that begins to build the intricacy of the human body. It's beyond my imagination. You can take any one facet of your being, and it's so complicated, and it's so intricate, and it's so huge. Just look at your eyeball. Everything, anything, all of it. And as a result of all of this, you are now put on the path so that you can be as the mind of God in the earth. Which brings me to a place, and I want you to follow me with this. If you have a Bible and you want to go with me through this, I want you to look at this with me. I want you to go with me to Genesis chapter 23 and verse 8.
What was that again?
Genesis chapter 23 verse 8. Okay, I'm going to have to take some stuff off this board because I need to write some. What can I take off? I'm going to go ahead and I want to remove this because there's several things I want to write here. I have to kind of write it small. And okay, Genesis chapter 23. And look at verse 8. And he communed with them, saying, if it be your mind, did you see that word? If it be your mind, let me put it right here.
Moffat says if it will be your will, if it is your will.
Okay, yeah, Moffat is going to say different things in this, and that's good. That's what I'm driving at. I want you to see that. If it be your mind, I'm reading from the King James. If it be your mind. And what I'm doing is I'm spelling the Hebrew word there for mind. I'm spelling the Hebrew word for mind. It's in this place in the King James translation of the Bible. And so this word for mind is non-fe shin. Non-fe shin. That's the word for mind that's used in this particular place. Now I want you to follow me because I want to make a point about this. Then go to Genesis chapter 26. Genesis chapter 26 and verse 35. Everybody found that? Which were a grief of mine. You see that word mine? And I think you can see, as I'm putting these glyphs on the board, you can see this word mine, non-fe shin. This is the word for mine, rash, wav, che'at, or he'at. Wow. So if you're thinking about mind, what are you thinking about? What what do you think when you think about mind? Do you know most people, when you think about mind, they think about their brain? And your mind is not your brain at all. You know, your mind may function with your brain, but your mind may function with your big toe. Your mind may function with your sex organ. Your mind may function with your heart. But your mind is not your brain. That's a really hard pill for people to swallow. They think their mind's their brain. They say, well, when I'm thinking, I'm using my brain. Are you? Are you using other facets of your body? Could it be that you're using other facets of your body to think? I would say it's very possible. In fact, I know that it's very possible. Let me give you another place. Leviticus chapter 24. Go with me over there. Kind of a walkthrough here. And I'm just spelling these different words because these are the words. I give you a little tidbit of information since we're passing through Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 24 never mentions the word God. It's the only book in the Bible that doesn't mention God. Leviticus does. The only thing that the book of Leviticus mentions is the Lord. That's all. And it mentions it. Gosh, Leviticus probably mentions the Lord as much, if not more, than any of the other books. That's the only word it mentions. But do you know, if most people read and they think of the Lord, or they think of God, that's synonymous. They're synonyms. They mean the same thing. They do not. They do not. For instance, if I want to talk about the Lord, then I would have to do this. I would have to take Elohim, which is the 12 spheres, and I would have to take Elohim and break Elohim down into 4 sections. And in these 4 sections, I would say Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, and I would say that's the Lord. Is the Lord the entire Elohim wheel? Absolutely. But here's the difference. The Lord is the physical, material, manifest, earthly creature, and the Elohim is not. That's why that they take that Yod He Vav He, which is a formula. It's a formula of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, which are all common to the earth. They are also ingredients, gases that build your physical body. They're a part of the building of your body as the temple of God in the womb of your mom. And you need those things. They're also a common part of fire, earth, air, and water. So those are, and so when you see Yod He Vav, or you see that word Lord, that word Lord in the Old Testament is Yod He Vav He. And you know, when they try to pronounce it, of course they pronounce it Yehovah. That's how people pronounce it, Yehovah. But it always was referring to the physical body. It's always referring to the material aspect of the 12 powers. The 12 powers are always referring to the spiritual, the divine aspect of the 12 powers when you look at it from an Elohim perspective. So do you see what I'm saying? So you can use Lord and God in that term of interchangeableness, but you have to understand in your mind the distinction of what's talking about what. So that this power up here of the Elohim is the power that gives all of this power of the earth its functionability, or its power to be what it's being. So when that's why the book of Leviticus is so complicated. Because it is a book about the physical anatomy more than the rest of the books. And yet it's chopped up in these things that we call sacrifices, or offerings, or killings, and all of these other things that's going on. They're about your physical body and how intricate it is, and how that there's many times there's a war going on. You hurt your body, you hurt your leg, you hurt your arm, and you'll see if you won't get a fever there, and you'll have all these cells in these different parts of the body of you that's an army inside your body. They'll just march right over there to that arm or that leg, boy, and they'll build a fever around there, and they'll go to working to protect you. I mean, it's just amazing, and yet that's what the book of Leviticus is about. But we hadn't broke it down like that. We thought we had to wear a certain kind of clothes. We got to put on certain robes. We got to go through certain rituals, you know, say certain things, offer certain sacrifices, and all these things. No, it's the function of this body, this thing that's manifest in the earth. So here we go. We have this word, Leviticus 24. That's a little side preaching note there. 12. And they put, verse 12, Leviticus 24, and they put him in ward that the mind of the Lord might be showed them. Now this word mind, I want you to look at this word, mind, this one. And you have to watch when you make the hay and the che'at. And you always notice, I always try to leave a gap so that you can see the difference in these two particular glyphs, because these glyphs are so closely related that usually, that's the word for mind. You know, and if you're reading that in Hebrew and you keep saying mind, and it don't have the same spelling, you wonder, well, why is this? Now, I want to show you something right here with this. I could go further on this particular thing, but this word right here, nefeshim, that word nefesh is the word for soul. So everywhere you see the word soul, it's the word nefesh. Is your soul your mind? You better believe it. It's all through your entire body. This word right here, rash, wav, che'at, is pronounced ruach. 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 That's the word for. That's why Moffat's translation was giving these words different things, because Moffat was really, he was a Greek scholar, a German scholar. So here's the word for soul, here's the word for spirit, and then this particular word right here is faith. And this word right here is faith, is the word for faith. That's the word for speech. Now, is your soul your mind? Is your spirit your mind? And is your speech your mind? Yeah, have you ever heard anybody give you a piece of their mind? They do all the time. They do all the time. Now what is all that trying to say? What is all that doing for us? That's just showing you and me that we have something that's entered into us through this DNA and this egg and this egg and this seed, this word and this receiver of the word into the womb that has created us, and in 9 months of gestation it has released us from this garden with all of this ability, spirit, soul, and speech. It makes you really, really unique. Makes you very unique. You are the mind of God. You are the visible, physical, manifest mind of the living God. Hallelujah. Amen. Now what do we do with that? You know, it's sort of like, I remember, and I got a lot out of the charismatic movement. I got a lot out of, early on, Kenneth Copeland teachings and Dr. Hagin. But one thing I got out of them that has really stuck with me is I remember them teaching about you have to watch what you say. And I remember that, and I have kind of put a guard on my speech. Ever since I learned that 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago, I learned that, and I try not to slack on that, because I try to be careful or be cautious about what I would say or how I would say what I would say. And I just like anybody, I slip up, I make mistakes, but I try certain things that I just don't want to say. It's sort of like my grandpa, when I was little, he said, man, I'd rather hear you cuss than tell me you can't. Don't you ever tell me you can't do anything. And you heard me tell the story of my grandpa when I was 10 or 11 years old. He had this old International farm truck, and I was only 10 or 11 year old boy. You know, I was about this tall, and that's a big old truck, and he would load that thing down with hay or stuff from the field with a trailer behind it. He said, get in that truck and take that to the barn. I can't drive, Grandpa. Don't tell me you can't drive. You ain't never going to learn to do that no younger. Get in there and do it. And so I had to take the steering wheel and pull up and as far as I can reach and push the clutch in, and then that old truck had this big knob in the floorboard, and you have to turn the switch on, then you have to take your foot and push that knob. It's a big button. You just push that button at the same time with your heel, press the gas, and that cranks it. That's how you start it.
Yeah, it looks fun.
So it was, I mean, here I am holding on that steering wheel, trying to hold the clutch and trying to crank the truck. And then when it gets going, I joke, but you learn. You learn. You get to where you can. You get to where you can do it. Didn't you do that, Frank? You remember that, don't you?
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, you learn. You get to where.
I'm happy with it.
You get it, yes sir, you get it. Okay, I want you to look at the colors that I've used this on. This is water. The blue is the heavens in the sky. And then this is the Ruach. This is the Spirit. And so when my mom released me from the womb on February the 19th, the first thing that entered me was a Ruach, Spirit, breath. Now then, the totality of the divine Godhead has engulfed itself in me as me and stands me upright in this physical dimension to go and live for it and to be its manifestation, to be what God's designed and what God's called me to be. Whew.
Wow. Well, that's the fire.
That's the seal, that's the seal of Solomon. That's the fire. The reason it's that is because the triangle pointing up is a symbol of fire that always goes up. The reason this is green is because it represents the reed seed. By the way, the word reed in Hebrew is cannabis. It refers to the marijuana plant. Green. So the red, R-E-D-C, actually was the reed, R-E-E-D-C. That's our Mountain Office translation got it correct. So what you have joined together, I want you to notice what you've joined. You've joined fire, the essence of the Almighty. You've joined water, and you've released it out here with this blue. And so there you have them all together, the green, the red, and the blue, and that's the manifestation of you. Wow, that's poetry. Yep, the green, the red, and the blue is the manifest of you. You are that. You are the manifest presence of the living God, the Elohim.
Wow. If we'd have been started, teaching, if our parents had been started teaching us when we came out of the womb, of who we really are.
If they would know.
But let me-
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But let me say this, because it's so easy to say if,
Yeah.
and we get trapped in that. That's an excuse. We are being taught.
Yes.
It's a present reality. You can see it and reject it, or you can see it and own it. You can't go back. That's memory. That's what ego likes to get us to do. Let's go back. What I could have been. What I should have been. What I wish I was. This is what you is.
That's right.
This is what you are now. And so now we need to own this. We need to own it. We need to be it. We need to manifest it and start looking at ourselves. We have all available sources for us today. We have things that's available for us, and so we can grasp the things using this, the mind of God, which I would call the mind of God. The way I would define it would be this more, as much as anything.
It sounds like you're saying that this is the definition of is.
Common sense. And that's one thing we lack. It's just common sense. Common sense is the mind of God, and it'll teach it and show us a tremendous amount of stuff.
Yeah.
If we just listen to it. Just listen to it. I'm not saying that it is the infallible proof. I'm just simply saying it might help us get on the track toward an infallible truth, toward the essence of who we are.